Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 336. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin. I'm here with my co-hosts, Nate Reyes and Ryan Ripken. Hey, guys.
Normally he comes in with like a little pause and then like a, how we doing? Nothing. Just sat there staring at us. So.
I thought maybe
I
would
thought
get
I
the
was going to
word,
get some type of transition, you know?
You're still
That's
asleep.
fair.
You're
Wait,
still,
that's
no,
fair,
you,
You wake up, dude.
I was here on time. You clowns were dragging just a tad, but it's all right. We're here.
I just had another technical difficulty. It's not an appearance back on unless there's something wrong on my end, which
it's coming.
Always
Don't worry.
is.
So here's the deal. Like nothing in the baseball world happened this last week. At least nothing of note, nothing to really break down, dissect. Nothing that I would want Ryan Ripken's opinion on necessarily. Like there was nothing that enormous, but I figured, Ryan was scheduled to join us today anyway. Light baseball week. Why not just make this the Q&A episode that we talked about?
We probably should have started with this, like one of the first episodes that Ryan was here. Now it's just.
I mean, if you recall, his first
mix.
episode with us, I think, was right in the heart of the O's run last year.
True.
So I didn't want to take away from the good vibes I'm sure he was feeling at that time to say, hey, let's break down your baseball career.
I know it's a lot about me. It's about me. But no, yeah, I it's all about the team, guys. I mean, the Orioles were on fire. It was after the 10-game win streak, right? Yeah, couldn't kill those vibes.
I mean,
No,
to be fair,
though.
About
we gave him the floor. We said tell the people anything and everything you want. And
that's true.
He ran with it for a few minutes, but then we just got right into the O's talk. So now that it's the off season, a little slow, starting to gear up for spring training, figured not a better time to do it. So, Nate, do you have any questions for Ryan off the top before we get into the listener submitted questions?
I'm curious to see where the listeners take it. I'm gonna base my questions off of those.
All right. So you're gonna ask questions
Correct.
off the
They
listeners'
give me
questions.
ideas. I work from there.
He does do a great job. I'll give Nate. I'll give Nate that he can. He can take a tangent and run with it based off of.
Sure can.
I've seen he is seasoned on the tangents firsthand.
It's fantastic. It's quite a skill. All right. Do you just want to get the dad questions out of the way? Because I didn't.
Yeah. Who's dad?
Well, your dad. He played baseball.
Okay.
He did. Yeah.
He did. No,
He was.
shut
all
the
right.
front door. Well, let's.
I didn't want you thinking it was just
going
going to be 100 questions of, hey, what's it like being Cal Ripken's son? So we got to.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good. Hey, it's a part of the journey, right? I mean, we are related. And we have spent a little bit of time together.
Well, let's just run. We got a few here, not too many. We got some more general Ryan questions for you. Off the top here, Hank asked, was there any unnecessary pressure on you to be a good ball player because of your dad?
Yes. I think at a younger age, you didn't really understand that. Right? When you're a kid, all you look at as you're naive, you're innocent. They say as you get older, you learn more things, and then that innocence could go away. As a kid, I just thought, oh wow, I'm running around. I love baseball. My dad played. Everyone's dad played, which obviously I figured out as I got older how extremely challenging that was. And then getting into high school, especially, was when that started. After my sophomore year, I had a lot of success. And then the pressure started coming. Then the expectations started coming. And it felt like no matter what I did, no matter how well I played, they expected more. And if I played bad, it was, see, he's a disappointment. You know, he's nothing like his dad. And first off, we were never going to be the same player. I am all left-handed. At 3 years old, I picked up a baseball. Actually, I was younger than 3. My dad was hitting in the cage. I don't remember this. You know, it was lights were on, but no one was home, at least for the memories. And my dad was hitting, and he was picking up balls, and all of a sudden he got like smacked in the back of the head, and he thought balls were falling from the net up top. You know, that was a natural thing. And then 5 seconds later, he turned around and I hummed another ball at him, but it was me picking it up with my left hand, just chucking it at him with pinpoint accuracy, I will say. So we're never going to be the same player regardless. And I think that that's something, it was definitely challenging though, because when you're going through just being a teenager, you're trying to figure out yourself. You're trying to figure out what it is to be a normal kid and just try to figure out what works for you. And I definitely struggle with that. But I think now as I got older, you know, it obviously you become your own person, but you know, no matter what I did, that was a frustrating component for years.
Nate, we saving the tangents for
yeah, I'm going to move on to the next one.
Okay,
That's good.
all right.
Yeah,
all right, let's move on. Braves content, kind of along the same lines. Braves content asks, how was your minor league experience different from guys that didn't have an all-time great as their dad?
How did the minor league experience differ? Well, I'll say this. It was to be able to talk to someone about the game that's been through it was helpful, especially kind of knowing, and people, I even forgot at times what my family went through. I mean, my grandfather coached, my uncle and my dad went through the system. And it's funny to hear then some of their stories from when they went through the minors. So there's a relation to that of, it wasn't just all of the accolades that you hear. So I think that definitely helped with the perspective. But I think in some cases it was funny. My dad always said, you're never going to be prepared fully to the minor leagues until you experience it yourself, because it is a grind. Like, it is an absolute grind where you have to put in all the work and you're not going to necessarily get the glory, you know, and it might never work out and people might not know it all, know about you. And I guess in that case with the name going through the system, wherever we went, people recognize the name. But so that those would be the two things. It's just people would recognize the name would be one. But it was very helpful to talk to my dad about, or any of my family members, and talk about the experiences and know that he was there at one point and he went through that. So that's probably it for the minor leagues. But for everyone that goes through it, again, the one thing I think is a pet peeve of mine, I just want to throw this out, is when people talk about professional baseball players and they go and you get to the minor leagues and you're like, oh, did you go pro? Or is it, is that semi-pro? And it's like, that's professional baseball. Everyone that gets up to the major leagues, like 99%, not counting the guys like Ohtani coming from Japan, who played professionally over there, that it is so hard. And I think that we put up, it's an accomplishment to play in high school. It's an accomplishment to play in college. And it's another accomplishment to get to the next level. And then to make it to the major leagues, you are the 1% of the 1%, which speaks for itself. But I think some people sometimes forget about how talented guys in the minor leagues are, and also that it's hard to get to. And I still say to this day that there's a lot of guys that were so talented that never made it to the majors, not because they weren't talented enough. Sorry, there was my tangent.
How, kind of going off of this question, in terms of your minor league experience, how different was it being a part of your dad's and your grandfather's and your uncle's organization? Like, you're not playing for the Oakland A's minor league system. Like, you're in it with that system, and you have to kind of take things as they come, given your name.
Yeah, I mean, I was extremely nervous about it, to be honest. Start with the Nationals. It was nice. It was a different organization, but they treated me really well, and I felt like they loved me for me. Even though it didn't work out in the Orioles, not that I didn't think they would love me for me, but for all the reasons you just labeled, was I going to go into a situation where I knew that there was already going to be these perceptions of me coming to the organization, the connections in the organization, and what would that be like? How would and the bigger thing for me, I know that the outside world, but I'm a guy that when I'm in the building, wherever I am, I want to try to make the other ones around me feel comfortable with me, because those are my teammates, those are my peers, that's my staff. And I was always worried, is there going to be some sort of resentment because I'm here in this organization? And I get it. You can jump to those conclusions very easily. I mean, and then the fact that I went and played in Aberdeen, which it's Ripken Stadium in Aberdeen. And so with all that, it definitely felt that was the challenging part. But the bigger thing for me above all was inside the group was you have to earn respect. So I'm not saying you had to respect me but I wanted to show to the group that I was with that, my work ethic, my
Is the reason you're
preparation.
here. It's not the name. Yeah.
Yes. My sincerity. And that was my goal going in. And I know that my numbers before, I was injured a ton. I didn't play well before coming to the Orioles. So I had everything, and I was a little bit older, so I had everything on the line to try to prove that. And so that's where that kind of stuck in. I mean, honestly, I got to the outside noise of once I got to the Orioles, I kind of channeled it out. And to be honest, the Orioles organization was everything I was nervous about going in was completely wrong. They treated me really well. They treated me like one of the guys, and that's all I wanted. And it definitely helped me gain the confidence to continue on with my career.
I like that. I was actually thinking more of the minor league question side of things too. And it's more generic. It's not necessarily specific to your career, but you can answer it with that. Mm-hmm. I've always wondered, like, at what point does the clock start to tick where you start paying attention to, like, I'm getting to that point where I need to get to the big leagues because of my age, because of, service time. Like, what does that feel like? And tell me a little bit about that experience for you.
Well, it's interesting. I think so much nowadays, or especially when you go in, I mean, what's the first thing if you believe you're going to get drafted, or you're a younger kid, what do you want to do? You want to play in the major leagues, right? Like, that's the goal. And then you think about, as you go through it, it's not as simple as that process. And I think as much as you can say you want to put the pressure, I need to get moving, you also have to stay in the present moment of going, well, I need to focus on what I have to do right now. And if I just got drafted, how can I go each and every day to show up and be productive? And it's no secret, though. I mean, many coaches in every organization I've with the two that I was affiliated with, it was talked about. It was talked about the sense of urgency. You're here. Guys are coming in behind you every single year. So you got to continue to get better. If you're not going to, someone else coming in will. So that was a constant talking point. But it's a fine line, because once you start to think too ahead, and that's where I got. When I got drafted by the Nationals, I initially thought, like, oh, well, hopefully I can get to, move up and maybe get to Double-A by, this year and try to already project what I was going to do without doing it. And what happened, I got injured twice back-to-back years and felt like a year and a half. And I felt lost. And then after I got released by the Nationals, I told myself, I'm going to stay in this moment, because I can't focus about the future. I'm aware of what's going on, but the minute you start taking your focus off of the moment in time, for me, like I couldn't do it. But you're exactly right. It's
like a looming
reality
feeling, right? I'm sure that every guy feels that.
I remember we were playing the Cardinals, and this was with the Nationals, and I was in short season. And one of our coordinators came in and said, our job, because the clock's on right now, guys. And they say you have 4 years to get there, depending on your age. Younger guys, you got maybe 5 or 6 if you're out of high school. But you other guys, 4 years. And we need to do it right now, and you need to get moving. And again, I appreciate that's the jump start you're trying to tell guys. However, you got to figure out as an individual what motivates you or what keeps you focused. Because the sooner you start to worry about, well, if I don't play well, I'm getting released, or all the stuff that doesn't matter to your game, it's going to show. I mean, everyone's different with that, but it's a real thing. I think people sometimes forget about that. It's tough.
Do you feel like, I mean, you mentioned the injuries. Do you feel like the end of your career, because it's different for everybody, like regardless what level you make it to, do you feel like you had the closure with your playing career? Like, was there a point towards the end or maybe shortly thereafter where you were maybe regretful of how certain things went? Or do you feel like, look, this is how it was meant to go? I'm like okay walking away from the game in that regard?
So it was interesting for the longest time. It's always when you look back, and I wish that I could have handled my failures better. I wish I didn't let my anxieties, my frustrations of my situation impact the ability that I had. And when I was younger, same being a teenage kid, I struggled with those expectations. I might have not shown it all the time, but I did. I felt that if I went out there and I didn't play well, that it was a reflection of myself, as a reflection of my character. That I felt like when I went out there constantly and people said, you're not like your dad, you'll never be anything like him, and there was so much negativity, I felt that was reflective of me as an individual. And that stung. Like I couldn't separate my identities. And when I got injured, it magnified it. And then I felt like I was failing not only myself, but I felt like I was, like, maybe I am a failure to my family that people are talking about. And so that whole situation. But then after the injury, in so 14, I got drafted, got injured. 15, re-injured the same ankle. Essentially was missed the majority of the year. And when I got healthy, I still wasn't fully healthy, and I thought about all the wrong things, and I played like crap. And I came to the Orioles with a new mindset of this is a new chance, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to relish it. And then 2019 comes around after 17, 18, built some momentum with the Orioles. 19 comes around, and I finally put together a solid year. Now, I hurt my oblique early, and I got off to a great start. Missed time, came back, stunk, but got through it, got promoted to Double-A, and then I think finished hitting like 280 in Double-A. And at that moment, I finally was able to tell myself, whether I make it or not, I'm proud of the way I was able to continue moving forward. Like, do I think I could go up and play in the majors? You have the confidence. I think yes, I can. But if it ever happens, I felt like that was the closure moment of that, not necessarily in the baseball sense of the production, but as a human being, as an individual, that I proved to myself that what I was worried about all along, that baseball defines me as a person, isn't true. But also as a player, I was better than even the doubts had in my mind said that I wasn't, if that makes sense. That might have been a little bit too deep.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Jacob wants to know, how soon before Ryan gets Cal to visit the show?
You know what? I got a similar message there. I don't know about that. That could be a while. He's a busy guy.
All I'm saying is, adding a fourth person to this video call, it could be
a train wreck.
It might explode the internet, because
we're gonna have to try a different platform. Or
holy cow, man.
Or we're gonna have to fit into this crab side by side. Yeah, you never know. We'll never say never, but Jacob, if I would not recommend holding your breath.
Solid.
Please don't do that. But you never know what could happen in the future.
Murray asks, what would your last 3 meals on earth be? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, go.
Perfect. Great question.
Ooh.
Money is not an issue. He didn't say this, but I'm filling in the blanks here. Money is not an object. Traveling is not an object here. Like, anything from anywhere, any cost.
Man, and I'm a big eater, and I love a lot of food. So let me think about this. For breakfast, in some capacity, I'm going to have at least 2 eggs over easy over medium with some toast. Maybe have a little avocado on there if I want, salt and pepper. So that'll be like the side. I think I'd have to have chocolate chip pancakes thrown in there because I do have a sweet tooth. I remember every road trip, especially in 19, if there was an IHOP nearby, you better believe I was having pancakes every single day, chocolate chip pancakes. And that still holds true now. You know, I wasn't into this earlier as a kid, but chip beef, my mom makes this really good chip beef.
I don't get it.
I love it.
Wild.
So
that's a wild candidate for your last meals on earth. That's a wild candidate.
But like for the chip beef, I would need to have, like, I couldn't have it for a while, you know? So if I hadn't had it for months, perfect.
I get it though. It's your last day on earth. You got to have a little nostalgia sprinkled in, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Sprinkle it in. And if not though, you know, I'm a standard. I love if I can't get the chip beef omelet, it's like I'd get the works omelet. I'd get sausage, ham. There's one place.
How much time in between the breakfast meal and the lunch meal? I mean, this is
it's my last.
Hold up, right? Is chip beef? Is that a breakfast
30,000 calories.
I have it. For breakfast.
I don't know. I'm genuinely curious.
I've only ever seen it for breakfast. Okay. Yeah,
and I didn't know.
And Nate, if for you, you can ask my teammates how much I eat for breakfast. It is, or you know, we could get my girlfriend on too. Any of my family. I am an expensive date when it comes to breakfast. I would go on the road and sometimes the bill would be $50 at a diner. That's a little excessive, but I like to eat. So there's that. Lunch, man, you know, and maybe it's just because I'm kind of in the mood for it right now. A lobster roll from Maine. I really started to love it.
Love me a good lobster roll.
You know, like it's got to be fresh. It's got to be the bun has to be done right. A little toasted. Got some butter on the side. And then dinner, I'd probably spoil myself with a surf and turf to a capacity. I could double up. I love crab, like Maryland crabs. That would probably be thrown in for dinner. Like let's do Maryland crabs. It's a staple of my life. And then get me a nice like filet, medium rare, and I'll be a happy guy.
That's a good day.
If I finally get up to Baltimore to hang out with Ryan, I feel like lobster has to be on the or crab. Crab's got to be on the.
Oh my
gosh. Be on the menu.
Yeah. Have you wait, so we talked about this before? Have. Like, do you like you but are we all good on the crabs? Like everyone likes Maryland.
I'm an inexperienced crab eater. So like you need to give me like the rundown, best techniques, all that.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. But I told you, I lived in Maryland for a chunk of time too. So like I remember like as a kid learning the process of breaking the full crab and like it's, you know, not just the crab legs, like you've got the whole crab you're working through. It's tough, man. It's a challenge. There's definitely technique.
It is. There's technique, and that's what I'm here for.
It's a messy process.
You know, it is a messy. You know, when people say, "Well, it's not that much meat," I'm like, being in Maryland, like it's like the glory of doing the whole process. And there's one part I call it or my family call it like a rosebud, where you can peel it off, and it's like a giant like bush of crab meat, and it's one of the most satisfying things for me to ever get. And I would be glad to share these techniques with you guys. It's fun. With that, talk about great content.
That'd be good.
Get around to Maryland. Get around a table. Talk a little shop. A little baseball talk.
I mean, I when I say inexperienced crab eater, like I'd be coming in like a first day rookie. Like oh
wow,
I'm gonna need
We'll put you through the tutorial.
Do you know the lack of people on the West Coast that don't know about Old Bay seasoning? No one knows about it out here. It's hard to find in like grocery stores and stuff. It's weird.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
That's crazy.
Dude, I used to sprinkle that on my popcorn as a kid. It's delicious. For sure. Yeah.
That's a nice touch.
Old Bay popcorn, underrated.
Nice touch.
I'm going off the food. I'm going to steal a little bit from Murray here. I'm going the opposite side of the spectrum. What is the worst food experience you had in the minor leagues? Could be
Ooh.
clubhouse food. It could be, like a traveling spot. Like, tell me about it. I need to know.
Well, food wise, I gotta think about that for a second because there was a lot of highly questionable ones. I will say this though, before I can figure out, there were times where there just was not enough food. Period. Like I would go, and for me after games, if I signed for some fans or talked with some people wherever we were, I would sometimes come back into the locker room and there was no food. And it's not to the point of guys
They're just getting like one
taking
serving.
too much.
Yeah.
Just wasn't enough. And this happened in 2019. I remember coming back playing against Frederick, and we just ran out. And again, it was a changing of catering and stuff like that, and that problem got fixed. But there's been a lot of places in the younger, like when in short season you could carry more guys, and there just would be way less food available. So I'll think about that. As far as experience of travel or clubhouses or stuff like that, if that's kind of like, does that allude into it? Like
all of it
and going in there. Oh, okay. Well, one of my favorite towns to go to was Burlington, Vermont. I loved Burlington, Vermont. I thought the city was awesome. The food, just in the summer, I couldn't beat it. The stadium was terrible. It was, and mainly because so I think part of it, they had part of their side of the clubhouse, if I remember this correctly, burned down. They had one cage. They were in the home team was in trailers. We had to go to a locker room on the backside, but the showers weren't being able to be used and they weren't cleaned. So we couldn't even shower at the facility.
Is this the Vermont Lake Monsters? Stadium. Okay.
That is
You're looking
them.
at pictures.
Yeah.
There might have been a lake monster in the shower. But
I think we need
actually,
to keep this PG. Okay, I don't need to hear about any.
Yeah. No. I meant from like a cleanliness standpoint.
Nate,
like you didn't
where
know
are you
what was
at,
back
guy?
there.
Where are you at? I was tracking all the whole
Ryan
way.
was talking about naked stories in the locker room earlier. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going any lake monster talk about that. So
I would never.
So I mean, I'm looking at the stadium,
that.
and it looks like just your classic old timey small town, like higher end baseball field. When I say higher end, like it's got like your nice wraparound bleachers. It's not like just some dump, but
The stadium sense, fine.
It's
like
the
I
insides.
actually love I thought it was behind left field where I had the issue. That was where it was. Also, I love the people in Hagerstown. The locker room in Hagerstown was not ideal either. I remember first day, one of the first practices, I think it was the first practice, they had the bathroom system in line with the shower, and there was an issue with the bathroom system, and it overflowed up through the bottom shower drains. So I'll let you keep that imagination. And you know which guy was lockers right next to and it's overflowing then. So it's rising.
Right,
the drain is not draining. And guess whose locker is right there?
yours truly.
Hello. Hi, Ryan. Good to see you. Yep. It was. So that was tough. I think the notion, some of the places in the minor leagues, they're doing a better job, were tremendous. There are some other ones that weren't. I got to think about the food experience. My biggest thing with food was if I didn't get enough, I always went out after a game to eat. Like I had to. I just forced myself. My biggest thing is that there just physically wasn't enough food sometimes. And for me, that's like the worst case scenario.
And I know we're joking about it, but like this is like an actual, like this is an issue. Like across Major League Baseball
was an issue.
in minor league baseball, it's like this needs to be fixed.
And I think that they all starting to do it. It's interesting. I think that they've changed the food dynamic, the housing dynamics right after, I got out of baseball, which I'm happy because for certain guys, if you keep the perspective, everyone gets caught up with when players get drafted and signing bonuses. And I get it. Like you see a guy go in the first round, second round, and they're getting a lot of money. I'd probably say in a 40, back then it was in 40 rounds, just say it was when I was there, 15 guys maybe got a solid bonus, right? That means 25 guys didn't. And I remember I had friends and teammates go in the top 10 rounds, and that slot is almost $250,000. And they were going to get 5. And that was before taxes. And then you take out all of that on a month-to-month basis, players are getting whatever the minimum. In A-ball, I think I got, $1,700 before taxes, and that's not counting paying for paying dues to the clubhouse guys. And then if you had any housing, and they put up host families, but then also if you're going to go eat or get something by yourself, send any money back to your family. And also that was $1,700 before taxes. In AAA, it was guys getting $3,000 before taxes, and you had to pay for your own housing. So wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot for sure.
I think it's wild that
dynamic.
The path, like this is a necessary part of the path to becoming one of the greatest baseball players, in the world, to be able to compete at the highest level. And housing isn't, like your staples aren't taken care of. Like your housing and your nutrition and like that stuff isn't being just a lock. You know what I mean? It's so shaky.
Yeah, the nutrition part was a big thing where that's a huge talking point nowadays is how do you keep your body rested and fit? And a lot of some organizations do a better job than others. That's no secret. That's no knock to anybody, but that's for all reasons. But a nutrition part, if you want more nutritional food and value, it's going to cost more. That is a reality. In some cases, it's hard to provide that for so many guys. And so, but you're right. I think where people sometimes forget, it's even when you get up to AAA and you're so close. If you get put on the 40-man, it changes things, right? Like you're adding a little bit more income in. You get to the big leagues and you stay on the 40-man and you get sent back. Like it's life-changing. And a lot of guys, even for that moment, it's a life-changing experience, in that in itself. But to even be right there and think about it, like if you aren't on the 40-man and you're sitting there in AAA under your deal, and you could be going from making $3,000 before taxes to now you get called up and you're making per diem or league minimum in the major leagues on a prorated base. Like, and what's the league minimum? Do you guys know off the top of your head in the major league?
It's up over 700, right?
They bumped it up within the last year or two.
So think about that. Imagine you get called up and you're only up there for, a week, 2 weeks, and you're getting that prorated value. I don't know what that goes out to be, but you might quadruple your earnings for 1 month in that time frame. So it's like a perspective of how close guys can be, but still, it's huge for so many reasons, which I think sometimes people forget about.
So kind of on that, bringing it back to food, Richard wants to know what was your favorite pregame food, and I mean this could go hand in hand. Favorite pregame food, and did you have any superstitions? Because I know a lot of guys that like I said, that goes hand in hand. They'll
He's
have
a lefty.
To have,
He's a weirdo for sure.
If you have one, you got to have the other.
I'm weird. I will say for foods, it varied based on, I was superstitious across the board. You're right. And I always kind of wanted to eat lighter as I got a little bit more old, like a little older. Like a PB&J for me was always a staple, to have one. Greek yogurt was something that came over time. But then I'll tell you what, if I went to a place and got a kale salad or something with chicken and I had 3 hits, I can guarantee you I'm eating that the next day and the next day. And that happened a lot in 2019, and maybe that helped with my overall health. I would have a ton of salads before the game. During the game, though, if I was DHing, I always had a ritual of going in, getting a cup of coffee, or having the cup nearby and having like a certain bar with me every single time. I think it was, sometimes it'd be a Chewy bar, or if there was like an actual protein bar in there, I'd go in there and get it. Like that was my thing. It's like it's interesting when you DH. There was a certain ritual. The superstitions though, like it's funny. Baseball players are creatures of habit, but you know the thing I thought about it is with all the things that you think about in the game about what goes, it's the one thing that can release your mind. And I think that was the funny thing of being like, well, so I had quite a few superstitions. Not going to say all of them on here, but it could be from how I put my socks on. Do I put it on the right foot first? Do I put it on the left? How do I put my uniform on? Am I putting on, the jersey top first? Is it the pants, the belt? Am I going to stretch for X amount of time? What songs am I putting on? Oh, wait, I didn't get a hit for a few days. Well, I'm just going to throw the music off. We're not going to listen to any music. I even came down to the point where I felt like I had one day where I was struggling a lot, and I would go out there 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the game. I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go out there 7 minutes before. Just go out there late. Sure enough, it works. So what did I do? Bet your butt. I went out there late. I'd be in the locker room, stretch out, shower late, and so I changed it up because in my mind it released the thoughts.
Any like on deck circle or in the box type routines?
Yeah, I always would. That never changed. When I got into the batter's box, before going in, I put one foot in the batter's box, other foot back, and I kind of lean down, stretch my left hammy or right hammy, can't remember. Fix my one batting glove, get back in, dig in, say what's up, and then I'd lay the bat down far enough for me to distance of where I needed to stand. So I'd lay my bat down. So I would say
Harper
like,
kind of does that,
how far
right?
I need to be away from
kind of gets that reach across the far side.
Yeah. Yep. And then the other thing too is just a reminder in the box is anytime something went into my head, I just call time, get out of the box, curse myself out in my mind, and then get back in. But it would be more of like an affirmative, like, hey, shut up. Like, what are you looking for? Okay, do it. And then get back in the box. So those would be kind of the rituals for me.
I think I could still do my routine from the on deck circle.
You guys had to have routines.
I could still do it. I did like a specific thing when I got in the on deck circle. It would be like the arm swings, both like one bat. I didn't like weights. I didn't like to put like any weights on. I wanted to feel like the weight of the bat. So I hated where like if it was a long at bat, now it starts to feel heavy. Like you know what I mean? So I never did any weights, but I could do like the full routine, the back slap, the stretch, and then just a couple. I didn't like swinging either. Everything I did was just timing, like front foot, hands go back, and then I knew I could definitely do my box routine. Clean it up a little bit. Used to clean it out, dig the back line, fix the helmet, good to go.
I was playing in like these adult leagues over the last year or two, so like it was still pretty fresh in my mind. But when I get up to the box, I got like a hybrid. I've got some Nomar in there, like I get the toe taps.
You've had that since we were kids.
Yeah,
you had the Nomar
and
stuff for a long time.
It's never left. And then I tap across the plate, back on the close side of the plate, tap across the plate, back to the close side of the plate twice, and then I get a little helmet tap, get a little crotch grab. pull up the pant leg a little bit on both sides, and then a couple swings, and we're good to go.
Do you guys ever wear your pants up, pants down?
That was based on superstition.
Pants
and
up
how
slump,
I was feeling.
Slump busters for sure. Yeah. I would also ditch batting gloves. Batting gloves would go if I wasn't hitting well.
Couldn't do that.
Yeah, batting gloves and pants up, and then what's odd is that I did it 3 times ever. And 2 of the 3 times I had 2 home run game. It's weird, but it's like it ended it. I couldn't continue to do it. It got me, like snapped me out of it, and then I can go back to normal. It was odd.
I was already slow,
weird.
And we're
definitely weird.
I needed to feel fast on certain days, and a lot of times if I went pants down, I just felt slower because I just felt restricted. So I'd have to go pants up. For the second time, we gotta keep it moving here.
Yeah, keep moving.
Eric asks, "What's your guilty pleasure song?"
Oh yeah.
Guilty pleasure. I mean, I feel like that changes a lot. I do love a lot of female pop, and going back.
Thank you for your honesty, Ryan. I appreciate it.
I do. We, as a team, I felt like there's like 4 or 5 of us in 18, where we said our walkout songs were going to be female pop. So we had like Ariana Grande, I had Selena Gomez, another guy had Gwen Stefani. Good vibes there, but then it didn't work. I think I hit 190 at home, hit 300 on the road. So
that had to go.
I let Selena down. A big Backstreet Boys. I have pictures back then, and maybe that's like the true guilty pleasure. I actually, my sister really liked them, I swear, but I did enjoy them, and my mom would take me to the concerts. And a funny kind of thing with them, the Baltimore Bullies was just on last night. And if you saw some of the things, the Ravens, it was always like, what time is it? Game time. What time is it? Any dogs in the house? Who. But the Ravens did that a lot. I mean, people did that all over. But we met the Backstreet Boys after the Ravens won the Super Bowl, and a few of them were Giants fans. And me and one of my close friends, my mom's like, "Oh, sing the thing, the chant about the Ravens." So we sang it to them at like 7 years old. And they're like, "Oh, that's great. Thanks, kids." Yeah. But then I think I was like, but I still listen to like I Want It That Way is up there. I still think Backstreet's Back gets
a banger.
the people going.
That's definitely a banger.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, what about you guys? I mean, give me a guilty pleasure.
Britney
song.
Spears for sure. Like within this last year or so, for some reason I've just gotten back on the Britney kick. But like back when I was much younger, I was crushing hard on Hannah Montana, and so that just evolved into a Miley Cyrus.
That's also fair.
A Miley Cyrus kick. And I mean, she's got some bangers too. So like, I mean, I feel pretty justified in saying that's a good pick.
Nate?
I don't know if I can just like randomly name one. Does it have to be a female singer, or is it just like guilty pleasure in general?
I went Backstreet. Yeah, guilty pleasure in general. I went Backstreet Boys.
I was an NSYNC kid for sure. That was my first CD actually. I remember the CD. It was like yellow and brown stripes that just went around the CD. Yeah. That was I don't know. I don't really bust that out now.
Oh, we can change that.
We could.
Oh yeah, sure it is.
Yeah.
It is. Brown and yellow circles all the way around.
Yeah. I remember that.
No strings attached.
In my Walkman.
Also, that's incredible. Yeah. Last guilty pleasure too, I will say, JoJo, Too Little Too Late. I was actually talking about that song recently.
As in like Casey and JoJo?
No.
Who's JoJo?
No.
JoJo is like a pop artist.
A current one?
Pop artist when we were like in middle school.
Like,
no.
From our
Back
heyday.
in middle school. It had like Leave, Get Out. She had Leave, Get Out and Too Little Too Late.
Oh, I don't remember
and
that.
Actually,
it's like a Walmart equivalent of Shakira.
Okay.
Would be my comp. Like
Shakira's
has I mean, not Shakira in terms of like the accent and all that, but I'm saying like a pop female that's like very widely popular at a very like niche. Would you not agree, Ryan?
I don't know. When you Shakira, because she's pretty international. She did
That's a
play
good
at the
comp.
Super
That's
Bowl.
a rough
I mean,
comp.
and JoJo had her day in the sun though.
But Shakira's had her day
That's fair.
she's still, out in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, she's like 60
She's just
now, isn't she?
She's crushing it still. But anyway, I just want to throw that out because, those are songs that when I was a middle school kid, I don't know if I wanted to explain that, I'd maybe have that on and be in my emotions, singing Too Little Too Late. But enough about my guilty pleasures.
Fair enough.
I'm going
to... Brennan asked, who controlled the clubhouse music before a game? Was there like a certain guy
That's a good one.
That would always be the go-to?
In Norfolk, we had a combination of guys. If we had a starting pitcher, we'd let them if they wanted to listen to their own music. So when Zach Lowther pitched, he had his own. In general, guys that were in Norfolk in 2021, Spencer Watkins was a big guy that would be on top of it, and he got the people going. He had a ABBA remix that just really fired up the team when we did win, but we didn't win a ton for a little bit of time, so we really got excited.
ABBA's got some bops, man.
She does.
It got some. It's got some, but it was a remix of it. But Spencer does a good job. Yeah, Spencer Watkins was a big one. I would refer him to a friend for DJing.
Vester Sports Art on Twitter asks, as a kid growing up in the baseball world, what was the wildest thing you saw?
That's a broad question.
It's loaded. So for PG, we're going to keep it PG because there's a lot of things I've seen that were wild.
I'm looking forward to getting those stories off air, but continue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I was trying to remember. There's a lot of things I didn't understand at the time, especially wildest.
While you think about that, I just want to apologize for my Shakira comp. Like I'm very regretful over that.
He's self-conscious about it now.
I apologize. That was just a terrible comp. No, like you say something and then immediately you realize like that's just not right. So I just want to apologize to any and all Shakira fans out there because I myself am a Shakira fan.
Who's not?
Shakira,
honestly,
Shakira.
Who's not?
And she's also not 60. I don't know why I said that, but she's getting older, man.
I mean, it's got to be upper 40s.
Got to be. Let's just confirm here because I'm genuinely.
Yeah, why don't you confirm real quick?
46.
We're getting old.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting stumped with the wildest PG baseball stories. I guess this is just from a perspective standpoint of not understanding. When I was growing up and younger, I mean, everything that happened with 9/11 in 2001, I did not understand. And that was my dad's last year. It was the Orioles had to cancel the series in New York because of it. And again, like you don't understand the magnitude of it, but then the energy that was coming about after, like there was just a different electricity about like passion and people coming together. So as far as a feel good moment of wild of like, oh my, like, I don't know if that was just, I was such a young kid, but that was a moment where I remembered such a unity of people, like an excitement, a love, and a coming together. So I'd probably say of like from a standpoint there, from a personal, like another personal standpoint. And I guess I didn't understand at the time, but I think one of my dad's last years went to the All-Star game in Fenway, and I got to go in the Monster during the game. Ooh. And then I was running around. There's pictures of little Ryan running around the field, and the place is just kind of going nuts. Not over me, just like the energy in Fenway. It's All-Star game weekend. I think if I'm not mistaken, that must have been Pedro's when Pedro just
went off there. 5 out of 6 striking out.
Yeah, I'd probably say those two were two moments right off the top of my head, and then off script I got plenty of wilder stories that I could share.
I need those.
We just for everyone's sake, I can't say it.
Wait, so when I go back and rewatch clips from the '99 All-Star game, you're out there in the scoreboard.
I'm pretty sure I have photos of myself at the game and on the field. And I remember going in, and maybe I remember it differently. But
I'm going to choose to believe that you were in the Green Monster while that game was going on. That's just how the memory is going to play out in my head now. So anything you tell me is not going to change it. You're out in the Green Monster.
Yeah, okay. No, I was. Well, I was, but I just to Google. I Googled up one of the pictures. It's me in a red All-Star jersey with terrible running form and extremely blonde hair.
You're in the Green Monster on Google Images?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not in the Green Monster on the Google Images, but there's a picture of me, I think, about to run to the Green Monster. It's like it's
with dad.
yeah. I'm pretty sure we're running to the monster.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Right then.
Yeah. I mean, direction wise, I know Fenway pretty well. You're definitely running towards the monster. I know that much.
I'm almost positive that's what it was. And man, if talking about running form, it looks the exact same now.
Love that.
Just don't change. That's my motto. You got to stay to who you are. Stay true to yourself.
So I've got a question for you, Ryan. Did you by chance say seat? Because I've got something that I'd like to share with you if you got a minute.
Oh, I got a minute.
Gets the answer to all your ticket needs. Are you looking for tickets? Do you have plans of friends or family to make it to an upcoming game or concert? Or are you even looking months ahead to nail down a date to get tickets before they sell out? With SeatGeek, you can find tickets to games, concert shows, and even theater performances with just a few easy clicks. Or making it even better for you if you're a first-time user of SeatGeek. Next time you add some tickets to your cart, use our promo code 30TAKE. That's our social handle at checkout to save $20 instantly off your first purchase as a first-time user. It's all you got to do to save some of that.
He doesn't know it yet. Cold hard cash, Ryan.
Enter promo code 30TAKE. That's our social handle at checkout. All right, we're going to switch gears here into some current event stuff, some baseball coverage, and we're going to need to keep it quick because I didn't think we were going to be talking about guilty pleasures for as long as we did.
JoJo and Shakira.
Two completely separate entities,
say.
No connection or comparison whatsoever.
Yeah, let's do the current events. We'll rock it. All right,
let's keep it quick. Thomas asks, do you think the Blue Jays upgraded their pitching enough?
To me right now, I think the Blue Jays, yes. I think the Blue Jays are the most complete team in the AL East at the moment. But the question is going to be, can it be sustainable for the entire season? So I think, yes. The short answer is yes. But as a team component, do I think they're the strongest pitching staff in the AL East? I don't think so. But I think by team right now, if you told me what they've done, I think they're in position to be the favorite in the AL East.
You don't think the Red Sox adding 56-year-old Justin Turner really put them in that upper echelon?
Well, I mean, he's not pitching, but yes, that could be a whole different discussion. I still believe in your Sox a little bit more than you do. Not a ton more, but a little bit more than you do.
I mean, we don't need pitching. We've got James Paxton, who's really pitched a lot over the course of the last year. Chris Sale, who's also pitched a lot over the course of the last few seasons, really. I mean, we have guys that can throw a baseball. So I mean, I'm just taken aback a little bit that you don't have them at the top, but I mean, teach their own.
Hey, that's the thing is people are going to be upset with that. I mean, the Blue Jays to me, in general, it felt like last year they're building more momentum. To me, there's no excuse if the Blue Jays do not push through. There really isn't. They have the young players. They are a year older. You have arguably two of the best players in the world with Vlad and Bichette. And then you also have another mixture. You have a very solid team. There's really no reason. If you're looking at a completeness, I think the Blue Jays, the expectation rightfully is there.
I'm just waiting to see the movie because Vladdy was talking about trailer, movie, and all that. And I didn't see a movie last year, so maybe the production date got pushed back or the release date got pushed back because it wasn't last year. Ian asks, with the payroll versus the rest of baseball and the American League East, are the Rays the most overachieving team as of late?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think they've been the blueprint of if you are not going to spend money, you have to be so good in your analytics department and how you're developing players. And no one has done that better than the Rays. I mean, the Rays have done it better than the Oakland A's, in my opinion. I mean,
far better.
Not only for that, because Oakland, you could say about the whole Moneyball thing, the Rays took that to a whole different level and then understood that they're playing in the AL East and they're playing against an extremely tough division. And how do we maximize our players? How do we know when to get rid of players at the right time? And how do we make sure every player that comes up in the minors, especially pitchers, are prepared because they use the rotation essentially? You're calling guys up and down. Every team does it. But how is there not a fall off and how does everyone feel prepared? what the Rays have done has been nothing short of spectacular. I think they have like the 4th most wins in the major league since 2010. Like it's incredible. They've been to 2 World Series, two or 3 World Series, 2 World Series.
I don't think it's good for baseball though, having the Rays do what they do, because it just gives these teams an out to not be competitive from a spending standpoint. They're like, well, let's shift you from a business point of view. I get it. Like you want to have the most success, you want to have the greatest output without putting like very much into it, whether that's money, whether that's whatever. But that doesn't work for every team. And I feel like the teams around the league, aside from the Rays, aren't seeing that clearly. They're going, well, if the Rays can do it, we can do it. And it's like, no, some teams, some franchises, I feel like are just built to spend money and go out and get their guys. But now that like you mentioned, the Rays have had that taste of success. Now teams are going, you know what, we don't really need to spend money. You saw what happened with the Padres Fan Fest the other day. Look what kind of interest you draw when you go out and get a guy. You get multiple guys, and you add them to your organization, and you say, we are all in on trying to win a World Series. Look what kind of interest that draws. And I saw a before and after picture. It was comparing,
to go to your point, San Diego is at the bottom of the barrel as far as revenue goes. They're not they're a small market team.
Right.
Believe it or not.
Right. They're willing to spend the money. They're willing to go all in. And I just wish that was more standard across baseball. But I feel like the more that the Braves do what they do and teams start to tinker with that approach a little bit, I just don't like where it's headed.
That is the whole debate too, because I agree. I want to see guys get paid, and you like to see great players come to your team. I mean, think about it. Imagine if more teams could be in the sweepstakes if we talked about with Ohtani in the future, one of these bigger name guys coming out, and the market could open and say, I was trying to, if the Rays were the big spenders, that would draw interest to people in that region, right. No doubt. But I will say this, and I also think a location and all that kind of matters. Like Tampa's situation's tough. And if you're talking about with revenue, San Diego is still a destination place where people enjoy going and being around. Tampa Stadium situation, Oakland's current situation. Now, if Oakland ever moves to Vegas, I think that changes. But you're right. For the game's perspective, it's not great for what the Rays are doing as far as for spending. But I will say, if you really can't, because the only thing I'll touch on is just some owners, I know there's a perception. Some owners have more money than other owners. Other owners are caught up in other things. And some of them, you're right, don't want to spend. That there's a combination. But what that requires then is the baseball operations people to work with what they have. And for the Rays' perspective, at least, their baseball operations being told, hey, we're not giving you, this is all we're giving you. The fact that those people that are in charge of that can put together what they've done for that organization is beyond incredible. I'm not saying it's great for the game, but also imagine being a GM in that situation where you're like, hey, this is, the same conversation people are having with the Baltimore Orioles, where it's starting over and saying, hey, Elias, build up the team. And he's doing a great job of that. And then to be determined how they spend their money moving forward.
We mentioned the Padres. Greg wants to know, do the Padres have the best 1 through 4 in baseball?
I think they have to, right? They have to. Is there one that you guys could rival with that top 4?
I mean, I really don't. Like at their best, I don't think there's anybody that comes, dare I say, remotely close to the Padres.
Yeah.
Like,
is that the best top 4 in 15 years?
Memory, it has to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think
because
numbers are going to be hindsight, right? But like, I think when you compare like the overall career of what these guys are going to end up being when it's all said and done, when we look down the road 15 years from now and they're all retired and we're like, can you remember the time they were all together in the lineup versus actual year-to-year production? I'm curious to see it, but I mean, I think if it's like a year-to-year thing, I don't know. I mean, you could argue that like the Braves are going to have a solid 1 through 4. You know, the Astros are going to have a solid 1 through 4, technically 1 through 6, maybe. So I think year to year, it's a different comparison. At the end of the career, you're going to see, dare I say, at least 2 of those guys going to the Hall of Fame.
The one that comes to mind for me, I think, is this: the Yankees in 2009 had a great, four or a group of 4. They had Teixeira, they had Cano, they had Jeter, they had A-Rod. Like that.
Yeah,
that was really good. And then they also had Jorge Posada, who hit 285 that year, had 22 bombs. I mean, Johnny Damon, Hideki Matsui, that's a multiple of it, but you're right. If that's the closest one, I'd have to do more research.
Yeah.
That was 14 years ago.
Right.
If you're a San Diego fan, enjoy going to the ballpark to watch that team play, because you truly do have 4 of the best hitters on one team.
I mean, we're looking at what, how do you order those guys? You've got Tatis, Soto, Bogarts, Machado. I mean, do you put them 2 through 5 and open up with somebody else and just keep that power a little lower in the lineup, or do you lead off with one of those guys?
It's a good problem to have.
I know, right?
I think some of those guys could be great in the leadoff spot. It could turn out to be, but the thing is crazy is all of them know how to drive players in.
What's wild is that, you got it. Cronenworth is going to be in that conversation too,
Or where you can fit in, and it could have benefited. Maybe they mix it around. The awesome thing for them, I think I will say with one thing, if I feel, you're right. It's good. The biggest impact for those 4 players is it's going to make the other players in that lineup even better, because they're going to be forced to be pitched to more. So whatever it is, and honestly, think about it. People at the bottom of the order, if they have to turn it over to the top, you're definitely going to get more to see than you might not recently. Because imagine you walk the 8 or 9 hole, and you got to deal with that top 4. That might be 2 or 3 runs every single time.
Seriously,
I'm just kidding. It's baseball.
Yeah.
They're going to go through slumps, but I'm excited, guys.
Is it weird?
I'm excited for Padres fans.
Is it weird to say that Soto could lead off? I mean, for the amount of walks that guy gets, I mean, it's like, I don't think it's a waste.
Yeah, he's in no rush at the plate for his ABs, so might be a great way to see some pitches early.
Yeah,
they're going to experiment a lot. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see.
Diener 52 and Lisa Call 10 on Twitter want to know. I mean, they ask different things, but essentially want to know what your expectations are for the O's this year.
Expectations for the O's?
And can they make a playoff push?
Expectations are to make the playoffs. I think that's what the goal is. I think that's what your goal should be. That now that you finally are right on the cusp and you were in it till the end. Now, I do want to caution that it's going to since the expectations are higher, if the team fails those, I don't want people to be disappointed. It's just because seasons go differently, and the Orioles' success is going to be off of their young guys progressing. And it's going to be guys like Gunnar Henderson and possibly when Grayson Rodriguez, 2 guys that could be the rookie of the year. If both those guys play well and some of your younger guys are starting to come together, that's where it's going to lie. And another part is the Orioles pitching staff extremely overachieved in the bullpen. They have a lot of great arms, and they did a tremendous job. That is no knock, because they are studs. But that's like any staff every single year. Can you replicate that and go and do that, especially in late game situations? Like Felix Bautista, I think, is great.
that kid. Whew.
He's a stud.
Wow. Yeah.
He is great. But now he set the expectation. Can you continue at that level? Which absolutely he can, but it's still baseball, and you have to stay healthy, and you have to go through the gauntlet of a season. So temper the expectations. But if you're an Orioles fan, your hope and belief is that this team will be playing in meaningful games again, leading into the postseason.
But would you say that that's the hope, or are you comfortable enough saying that's the expectation? Because, I mean, Nate and I have talked about this on some of the episodes that you weren't there for, and we were kind of in agreement that the O's didn't really do all that much, at least to this point. Like there's still a little bit of time, but it's pretty safe to say this is kind of what they're working with. And I just don't know if they bought into the momentum that they had last year enough to change any outcome this year.
I think it's more so, well, I understand that point. I do. But as far as buying in, I think everything was moved up a year. I think everyone thinking about the Orioles making a little bit more of a jump, the jump was going to be this year, not last year. So you went from being a projected, whatever it was, one of the worst in baseball, to then being in the wild card hunt to the final week. Like you overachieved and exceeded all expectations. But in the process standpoint, the team still is on that cusp. And again, it's going to go around the guys like Gunnar Henderson, Grayson Rodriguez. Does Adley push to higher heights, which I think he will? Does your starting pitchers that have a lot of upside, do they continue to get better? And then if they can do that early on, I could see the Orioles being, making bigger moves, for trades at the, during middle of the season. But for right now, this is where it is. And I hate that that's pressure on younger guys, but that is the reality. In rebuilds, are your guys that you are hoping to be cornerstones for your team, are they ready to make that jump? And that's going to be the biggest storyline to me for the Orioles this season.
You mentioned the young guys. You mentioned Adley. Todd asks, what's your take on autographs? The Adley autograph stink, I guess, from this weekend. Said it made him think a little bit.
Yeah, it's the reality. People have contracts, and whether you can say, people were upset, well, the Orioles should have known about it or could have told it and explained more.
Do you know about the issue this weekend?
I don't. I never heard about this.
So what happened is that the Orioles didn't do a fan fest. They did it's called a caravan, where they did multiple fan engagements with players at different locations, and then you could buy I think tickets to the events, and then you could interact with the players more one-on-one. And at most events, then the players could sign, X amount of stuff or whatever it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Adley, it came out a couple days before events with him, was that they would have a pre-made, like a pre-signed something that the Orioles could give out to fans, but they could not have any of their items signed by Adley. And it has to do with the contractual obligations I believe he has to Fanatics. I'm not positive on that, but I think.
Well, I think it's like a limited release at that time. Like that makes sense.
Yes. So as a fan, you feel disappointed.
Sure.
You feel, because you want that, but everyone values signatures and autographs differently than others. Like for me personally, I don't feel that same sentiment. I thought what was really cool from what I heard, it was the interactions one-on-one. And there's a lot of videos of the players interacting with the fans, chugging beers with fans, having those intimate moments. So it's kind of what you want. So as much as people might have been disappointed with the signing component, it looked like if you went to those events, you had some really great one-on-one time interacting with some of your favorite players, which to me, I would value the moments and memories over sometimes, just the autographs. But I do understand why people feel that way.
Well, in my mind, I mean, just coming to defense for Adley a little bit, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like my initial like feeling and moment of seeing what Adley was when he made his debut. Then you're watching him in his gear, and he's just kind of looking around, and he's checking around the stadium, and he's like soaking in that moment. I think in my mind, that tells me that this kid isn't bigger than the moment. He's not someone who is suddenly above giving autographs. I think you're right. It's a contractual agreement. I wouldn't put too much stock into that. He seems like a kid that is very much loving being where he's at in life.
He probably hates that he couldn't be given these autographs.
Yeah, and that's the thing, but that's the reality. It's you have a contract. They're giving you, I don't know the deal or what it's worth, but but it doesn't change who he is. He was, and from everyone that I heard, they extremely enjoyed it. And it's because of the authenticity of the guys that were there, and Adley doing what he's done and the person he's been, people got to see that. And I think at the end, to me, like that to me is awesome. That to me is to see some of your favorite guys be who they are around you. I hope that, the fans and everyone enjoyed that.
I got one more question from the people, Nate, if you got anything else.
I'm done. That's it.
From the people?
El Nino Macias on Twitter asked, will I be seeing you, Ryan, at the World Baseball Classic in Phoenix with Nate and Kyle?
What a question. We're talking about it. It's still in the works, guys, and I'm sorry. It's just... It's still happening. I won't get a hat. I asked, I said, I won't get a 3-0 take hat unless I go to the event, but stay tuned. If I can make it happen, it's going to happen.
Nate and I will for sure be there. Like, the tickets have been purchased. The lodging has been arranged. I still got to get my flight tickets, but the price keeps going up and I'm trying to hold out and maybe see if they drop. But we'll be out there, and honestly, it'll just be a bonus if Ryan's able to join us out there, because I think we could do some pretty fun stuff out there.
Oh yeah,
a lot of fun stuff.
Because we're right down. Nate, you were saying we're right down the road from spring training.
Everything's a good 20-minute radius. Everything's right there for you, so we can go to a lot of spring training stuff. There's a lot we can do.
A lot of opportunities is what you're saying.
Yeah,
and like we were saying, if Ryan's not able to make it, we might do something a little special with the tickets for the WBC. Maybe we'll have somebody join us for each one of the games we'll be at.
Do a little something.
But I'd rather have Ryan there, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah,
I'd rather have Ryan there as well.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
That's a good thought. Ryan, appreciate you starting off the week just getting peppered with questions. Made our start to the week a little easier. I know that. So,
well, hey guys, thanks for listening. Hopefully, there's something that people got out of the rants. And if you didn't get anything out of this, just remember that Shakira and JoJo are
not the same. They're not even on the same level. That was
okay.
That was something. That's something I'm going to live with for the rest of my life.
That made my day.
Yeah,
that made my
great.
day. But always a pleasure, guys.
I just like seeing Kyle own up to his mistakes. That's just my favorite.
I mean, I'm a man of integrity. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you. Hopefully we get some baseball activity popping up over the next week or so. Getting closer to spring training. If you are going to be out in Arizona for any of those spring training sites, let us know. We might be able to arrange a little meetup, maybe grab something to eat. Who knows? But until then, I guess we'll be talking about these grainy photos and videos from beat reporters as spring training.
Those are the best.
Ramps up from like half a mile away. You love those. You love those. That's probably going to be our first taste of spring training. So as we get closer, we're what, like a week away, I think. It's the 6th. Yeah, we're about a week away. So we'll be kicking off spring training talk next week. But until then, you guys got anything else?
No. Last night's Chipotle is hitting, so I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta get my own things together and go to the grocery store, Nate. Maybe
No.
We'll save that for a different time. But have a great Monday, guys. And it's always a great day to have a day.
Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.